Well, first and foremost, thank you all for coming, for being here today. So what is happening this year that's basically setting the stage for this conversation?
Well, this is Miles's 100th birthday, since centennial.
Unbelievable. So I wanted to basically talk about his legacy, playing a bunch of different songs from throughout the arc of his career. Does that sound okay?
Sounds good.
Do you want to do some introductions?
Me? Well, on my left here is my cousin, Mr. Vince Wilburn Jr.,
There we go.
Miles Davis' nephew, drummer, producer, and
All-around good guy.
I'm gonna let you do the intro next to
On
you.
the left of me is affectionately Sir Ron Carter, who I call Uncle Maestro. Love you to be. Thank you for coming. Love you.
Thank you.
And on the right, the son of Miles, Mr. Erin Davis, musician, producer, and all-around beautiful. He's like my little brother, actually. So, just glad to be here. Let's get it rolling, as Uncle Maestro
Should we
said.
play a song?
Let's do it.
Yeah, let's go. Let's do it.
What year was that?
1945. You were all listening very intently. What are some of the things that you were hearing?
I'm the youngest guy here, so I was noticing the bass lines, of course, since that's what I do.
Yeah.
And the thought occurred to me that everyone was so playing what they were playing, Miles and Bird, and maybe is that Max?
Yeah.
That they kind of ignored the bass player's rhythms. Back in the day, the bass player was just kind of standing behind the palm trees, and no one gave him any consideration as to what he's going to need to be equivalent to the advancing of the saxophone or the advancing of the trumpet. And I think if you look at history, the bass didn't start moving until about 10 years from this record, moving in terms of impacting the people he was playing with and the listener.
Did you hear that when you first heard these recordings? Did you feel that way?
Yes.
Of course. Yeah.
I said, no, he's playing too. Give him some slack. Give him something other than two choruses. And again, I guess as they began to know how to record the bass, and bass players kind of needed a little more skill because they were playing faster and tunes were a little more adventuresome harmonically and rhythmically. Bass players kind of had to catch up on their own. My broad view is that unless the bass player is going to improve with everybody else, the band can't get better because he's the guy who's the hammer and the nail to the band. And these earlier records kind of prove that point that he or the bass bassist in this time, they were just they were the pulse of the band, but not the harmonic or rhythmic influence in the band. That's all changed. And I think for the betterment of the music, broadly speaking, they kind of put the front line on those that there's something going on back here. And these people back here, they're demanding your attention by playing these notes or playing these rhythms. And until you guys acknowledge that, the band's gonna be like this all night. And I'm not sure it's good for anybody.
What's Miles doing at this time in 1945, playing with these guys?
Listening.
Yeah.
Developing, right?
Yeah, following Bird.
I was telling Vince, his tone sounds a little different. It sounds, well, maybe it's the recording as well, but he didn't have the mute in, but it sounded amazing, but it just sounded a little bit different than he sounded later on.
I think I read somewhere where Max said that the first tune, they were like holding on for dear life each night. That's why I said learning. They're listening and learning.
Do you think he felt like an outsider in that scene, or he felt like he was embraced by those guys?
Yeah, I mean, he's part of he's part of the group, the band.
He's the young guy who's coming in like.
Yeah, they're all students. So
Yeah.
they're all trying to find a way to this guy found these notes.
Navigation.
I think at some point everyone wants to be the band leader. And perhaps they were just looking at the various bands to see what of this band leader's traits can they borrow, not just musically, but physically, when they get to be where they finally got their own band. And they're naming all the tunes and who plays the band and who plays the longest. I mean, that's all a part of growing up. And at this time, music was changing so fast that anyone who played fast could be called the temporary band leader. And I think they're going to school free, given everything else, taking the free lessons, you know.
I'm going to play another one.
At this record, how much does 5 years between
Yeah.
the bass player is still the last guy
Yeah.
in terms of getting better at it? You know, making his presence known by doing something other than providing the pulse with the band. You know, and the arrangements get more complicated. You got more baritone solos of all things, given this time of year, this time of the recording, the new harmonization, the new voicings. To learn how to record these guys much better, but the bass player is still way back there in terms of evolving. You know, he's still the pulse of the band, but that's all he is right now. That's the only value they place in him. And I think that given where we are today, he'd have a real difficult time, or bass players, would have a difficult time keeping up to everybody else because everyone else has gotten better at their craft. And at the time, bass players were not cultivating the interest in what they were doing enough to step outside the pulse of the band sound, you know.
So when did you think that the bass players got their due?
Well, 4 days ago.
Just last week.
Yeah, recently. Yeah. In terms of space, you know. I mean, there are a lot of factors that involve him now, then, the bassist, that wasn't back in the day. Because you have guys writing it really tight in their arrangements, you know, with no space between them. You know, they really got this harmony like this. And I played those arrangements years ago. And I would play differently than those bass players because it's 40 years have gone by since that particular sound with those particular players, you know. And my view of the bass lines was a lot different just because I was a different bass player. And I had lessons, I was advanced in the instrument, I had the best strings I could find, engineers had learned how to record the bass in a small environment. I mean, all those factors were more in my favor to, in fact, get better and improve to the point where I'm part of the bass players now today who you hear all they play, you hear everything they play. Good or bad, you hear it.
Were you happy with the sounds of when the Second Great Quintet was together?
By and large, but again, they're so different. We were calling what they call bass du jour because airlines make it difficult for us to take our own bass if we use whatever the promoter provides. And whatever skill we have, we try to translate the skill from our instrument and our environment to the strange bass that sits in somebody's closet or hasn't been played for a while, or the strings are too, or all those factors on a borrowed bass by a bass player who's promoter, who's not a bass player. He just wants a bass for this guy coming to his concert. And his job is to provide with him an instrument.
So all those live records that you all recorded,
It was somebody else's bass. Yeah.
They supplied the bass?
No, by and large, yes.
Wow.
Yeah.
How different is your experience if you're in a studio making a recording versus playing it in a club as a bass player?
It's all different. One of the issues with recording live on the gig and in the studio is that most musicians don't have the experience of playing differently on a gig and in a controlled environment of a studio. And I've been a party to many of those records where the date hasn't been successful because musicians were not used to kind of toning down the edge, turning down the enthusiasm, knowing how to save their chops for maybe another tune or another day.
So psychologically, you wouldn't let it get into your head because you're a musician. So
I mean, we're all human too.
Yeah.
I mean, dates have parties. The guys come in with friends and they hang out in the control room and there's conversation going on that has nothing necessarily to do with the problem at hand, the balance, the intonation, the musicality of the music. I mean, there's a lot of stuff going on in the studio that's not on the gig. On the gig, this guy's talking to his friend down here on the ballad over here, and the bartender's doing this with a drink.
Clinking the glasses.
And we try to play over that. Wow. That rudeness of the business of being in the club where they're serving drinks and food, you know? So the view of the performer is completely different. And I've been called in to kind of help the process because I have made a few records and I do know how to play the difference, how to adjust my attitude to playing in a literally confined environment where they control everything, the volume of the audience, there's no audience, where you stand to get the best sound for the bass, but you don't get in a nightclub, you're just stuck wherever there's space on the bandstand, how long the tunes are, how many songs you're going to play. That's all controlled in the studio, and guys know who do it enough times of different live. And in the studio, they don't blow yourselves out because you got all day. You got from 2 to 6 to do this record. And guys are all have different tolerances of how many times can they play the same tune, or how well do they read music. On a gig, you can just fool around and you'll figure it out because you got 25 courses and 4 sets, 3 sets, 2 sets, whatever it is. In the studio, you got a downbeat.
And that's it.
Next.
Yeah.
You know, and that's, I prefer that attitude. You're fresher. You aren't so worried about the me component in the studio because it's right there what me is. You know?
And you don't believe in a lot of takes either.
No, but by the time you get the third take, the group sound is no longer a group sound. It's each person trying to play better than they played.
And thinking about it too much, you think?
Well, trying to be perfect, trying to fix what they didn't fix on the gig, because at the gig, by and large, you don't hear it anymore. It's done. You got a record. That's life. All those records. That's 25, 35,
So that's why when we're recording with you, you always finish the song and you say, what's next? Because you're so quick.
Quietly. Yeah.
But that's a professional and a perfectionist.
I understand what it takes to make a good record.
Yeah.
Not a gig,
Yeah.
not a good set, a good take.
But also live. Your live sets are, can I say meticulous or just
No,
to the point?
they're more focused on individual talent
Okay.
on the gig, because you got on the set you can play 25 choruses. Then there's a long drum. I mean, at the studio you got 7 minutes.
To get it.
Yeah, and everybody wants some.
Yeah.
Well, it's someone's job to say, not now,
Yeah.
or only 3 choruses. And I've been on dates with musicians, with band leaders who have had a rehearsal. And in the rehearsal, they plot how long the song is, how many solos the song can tolerate musically and physically, what's the right tempo for the song, how many keys you're going to play the tunes in. And they go back to the hotel, they map out the date. And when we go back to the studio, it isn't that we're better players, but we're now focused on a specific job with a specific number of courses that you have and a limited amount of chances to get it right there. Back in the day, we had no budget to do anything more than one day. 9 to 1 and 2 to 5. You need the studio with a complete record. A live date, you got, well, look at the plug nickel. There are three sets a night times 6 nights, whatever it is. You can just pick and choose and get the best stuff some serious editing to make it sound like a real great studio kind of date. But of course, there were some bad notes played, some terrible time. Somebody in the audience is shouting over here about this, and you hear that. That interference is part of the environment, but doesn't make a good recording because it's part of the sound that I'm not sure that is really too good for a blues and B flat with the guys getting mad at his wife. Man. Guys, come on. Yeah.
I'm sorry we're going off script.
No, it's good. This is what I want. But should we listen to a live? This is from 1955 at Newport. And I'm curious, as we've gone through time, how your hearing changes in the arrangements and how the style is changing from one song to the next.
Okay, if you turn that down just a little bit, I think what we're talking about here is that there's still no presence of the bass.
It's a theme. You can't hear it at all.
Yeah, Miles is the headliner.
Yeah.
And Monk is the headliner. And whoever playing drums, they're the headliner in that broad sense of headliners. And the bass player is still kind of fighting his way through the palm trees. because the mix and editing and those guys who make the final decision as to what the record's going to sound like, what the music will represent, they're not involved in how the bass player is going to affect the sound of the band. Because you got Miles Davis, you got whoever's playing in the band, they're everybody's focus.
Yeah.
And I posit to you that because the bass player was not thought of as being critical to the music's survival, he didn't get the encouragement to find out what else could he do. And at some point, whoever the bass players were, they got tired of being in the background, and it made them want to say, well, what does it take for the bass player to be important? Some just kind of had their own view as to what they thought was important for them, not necessarily in terms of affecting the direction that the band could take, you know. Some of them just kind of accepted that they were in the background, and for them that was okay. You know, they weren't committed to doing anything specifically with music because they were there. Until at some point, someone had enough of that stuff. And it was effective enough at that juncture that the coming up next bunch of guys and bass players, they said, well, look, for the first time, I hear the bass line I'm doing. I hear what's going, yeah, well, great. Can we do that? How come I'm not sounding like that on the records? The thing is, when you get to the gig back in the day, they had 3 mics. One for the horn player, two for the piano, one for the piano player, and one for the announcement. And when the bass player got lucky and got there, they put a microphone in a towel and put it between the bass bridge and the bass itself. Well, that's a good way to mute the bass. I mean, really mute the bass. So all you hear is this. You may feel this, but you're not hearing anything but that, just because they deliberately have muted the bass, not understanding how the bass worked. Because no one told them how it works. And no one cared enough to have the bass be an integral part of the direction of music.
So when you started working with Miles and he's a band leader, what's his perception of is he just like, keep us in time and kind of dismissing, or how is he thinking, how is he communicating with you as a band leader to contribute the instrument to the band?
I was only a bass player in the band, and that seemed to be enough for him. But I was the bass player in the band. That got to be enough for everybody else too.
But that you all were game changers. You know, you all like changed the whole. For me, see the records you're playing, I wasn't born then, but sitting next to this man and those records, I gravitated to, and it seems like they were, no disrespect, risk takers. You know, especially some of the outtakes that Teal got mad at Erin and I listening to. You know, and the way you all were shaping and forming the music, you know. To me, it was. Would you call them chemists? You guys were in a lab.
Yeah. Did he talk to you about this period ever?
No, sir. No. He was only focused on whatever was going on.
In the present?
In the present. With the band at the time. I mean, he would talk about them once in a while. He would tell us stories, you know, about Bird and Max and Philly Joe and Tony and Harvey.
We were all determined to play. You know, if you listen to enough of the takes, the first set on most takes, you may not hear a piano player playing, because Harvey just bought a portable tape recorder. He's under the piano trying to hook it up. And we were already in the third chorus of Autumn Leaves, and there's no piano. I was okay with that, you know. I was having fun playing with Tony, and the band could hear me, so there's one less voice to be worried about. I mean, I thought it was really humorous that he was so intent on getting this new unit working that the music would take care of itself, and it did.
You know what I find interesting is every set sounded different. Even though you all played Autumn Leaves, you know, I mean, different, you know, the set list, but it was never the same.
I have a book out now called Chartography. And what this book is like a score. What I have done with a lot of help is picked out 5 different performances of the band. And the set list was basically the same for the 5 concerts for over a 5 years period of time. And we selected Autumn Leaves as our transcription lesson. What it does from the first concert, they picked a bass line and followed this bass line through each performance that we were able to find for 5 concerts spread out over 5 years. And you see how my line has evolved and how the band listening to what I did evolved as I did. That's a transcription. And to answer the question on the floor, is that the bass at that point starts to be more and more part of the music, not just the bellkeeper of ringing no time.
Out of the palm trees and
Yeah, yeah. So I'm here right now. You know? Ultimately,
You got tired of the bass sounding the way it sounded.
Yeah, I said, man, look, I'm playing all these notes, man. Who's going to hear them but me?
Yeah.
You know, and I would get to the studio early and tell the engineer, look, just stand here for a moment. This is how the bass sounds right now. Can we hear the same sound whenever we make this record 4 years from now? That's what your job is. Because no one explained to them how the bass worked. I don't mean just the volume, but the presence of the bass is having an effect on music now. That should be made aware to someone other than the bass player and the drummer, or the bass player and the piano, whoever's tuned in.
That's why we can identify with your sound. You know, I mean, you've worked hard and crafted it throughout your career. You know, so when you hear Uncle Maestro or Ron Carter record, or anything any project he's working with, you know, he's working, you know, the musicians that he's working with, or other albums as a guest, you know that sound right away. As Lenny White calls them, that's God bass.
July 27th, 1963.
I rest my case.
Well, after that lesson from the maestro, now I can't listen to it any other way now. Like quarter notes, and then that is like, the music's so different from oh man, I'm still like trying to put it all together now. That was some kind of lesson there.
I think Uncle Miles heard it. I think he heard it. And that's right.
You have to, because all the music is so different now.
Yeah.
He's playing, you know, one session he's playing. I don't know who. I'm sorry, I don't know who the bass player was on the first tune you picked. Well, the maestros. He's playing quarter notes, and they're just thinking, well, that's how it sounds, and I play this, and now, I mean, everything is swinging differently. It's just moving differently, and it's so beautiful. Ugh.
A couple of things are happening right now. One, they've learned, the industry has learned how to record the instrument. The second thing is the audience has now gotten better gear at home to hear the records that they buy, the LPs that they buy. So the club's got to get a little better gear for the club so they can at best appear to approaching a real presentation of this group from the record that people are paying to go hear. Mm-hmm. Thirdly, strings have improved since then. And that's one factor. Second, the bass players understand that if they play a certain way, whatever that way is, they can affect the band. Mm-hmm. They have the bass player in their listening category now. And before they hear drums, 25%, piano, 25%, mm-hmm. You know, partners on the bandstand, 35%, bass player maybe 2%. Because he's still he's the pulse of the band. His notes don't change anything. I'm not going to do that. No. If I play a wrong note for you, it's a great note for me. And here it comes again. And I just did that because I thought it was the right note. Man. How come I should play dumb because you don't want that note? I tell those guys, man, I know the melody, but they're not my lyrics. Bam, F sharp on this note. Here it comes again. You mean that? Yes.
Exclamation.
Right here.
Yeah.
Again.
Yeah.
So they knew that I meant this note to be where it was. So I had their attention. That's important for us, bass players, to be able to be that they feel that they're actually changing the music as they're playing each note. I try to tell my students that each note I play does 6 things. 1, it tells what the form is. 2, it tells what the chord is. 3, it tells what the changes are, what the real harmony is changing is. It tells what's the tempo feel like. It tells the dynamic of the band. It tells the presence of another sound to contend with for the audience, the bass player. And I've been playing notes, Vincent, for a long time, since 19 since 1860. Sorry, 1817 something, man. Can you imagine how many notes I've played? Times 4 notes per bar, times all those gigs. I understand what the bass can do if someone has the attention besides the bass player. My job is to get their attention. When I have Herbie doing like this sometimes, mine.
You got him.
Yes, indeed.
And you and Tony took it.
Yeah, Mouse will do this. Yeah, right. F sharp.
How are you communicating, besides the music, how are you communicating with each other on stage?
Visual.
Yeah.
If I can see these guys and see them respond, I think that's one of the things that the Channel 7 News has in the Hollywood has the musicians just close their eyes into a whole nother different world. I don't find that successful with the people I'm playing with. I want to watch them get upset at my note choices or my rhythms. If I can see that, I know that I have their attention. And I may give them what I think they want more of than I would normally do. But then again, you're in my house now, brother. Yeah, I'm like Mr. Rogers.
Yeah.
This is my neighborhood. But it's done with a sense of musicality, and there's no hard feelings. There are no, I'll meet you outside. No, it's not that level of competitiveness. For them, it's a challenge of now being able to take and accept another source of information that's not the piano player or their fellow horn player. And if you get this book of Chartography, you will see literally how my first chorus in 1963, you hear it again in 1965, and the band expects it by now. Yeah. You hear them respond to my rhythms that's different with the same notes that I played over here. That shows you how impactful a bass player can be in a group where he has everyone's attention, literally. That band was a perfect example of that.
What makes a good band work together? Is it each individual person's, is it the communication? Is it a combination of things?
All of that, man. Respect, attention, the feeling of everybody's equal, looking for a surprise every night, expecting everybody in the band to get better from last night, expecting awareness of where to look for information in the group, who's going to help determine where we are in the song, who's worried about the order of the songs, who's worried about the tempo. All those factors are critical to make a band really be a band, as I view the definition of a really good band.
So there's a question for all of you. How do you think Miles chose band members when he was a band leader? What do you think he was looking for?
I mean, just your individuality.
Yeah.
I was thinking about something. It seems like the bass player, Miles was in tune. This is just my personal opinion, with the bass more, And each bass player after you, up until when he, transitioned, it was like bass was a thing for him, And I could be wrong. I mean, we never really talked about it, but I know, Daryl, he loved Daryl Jones, Marcus, Richard Patterson, Foley. I mean, but he would always talk about the bass. He would always bring up the bass, But now I can hear it from when you guys played, And you made a stance.
Yeah. I made the bass visible to the ear. I want to walk in there and know that those guys know that I'm bringing something to this record. I'm leaving it all out there, man. And because I can walk the walk and talk the talk, I kind of got a head start on guys who don't have that experience and that comfort with them experimenting with different notes and different rhythms and stuff. Yeah, I've been experimenting since 1845, and I found some things that work that I can develop and evolve and add to my sound, or add to my presentation to this group of tonight, gentlemen. Tie your shoelaces and put your hat on tight, because we're going for this ride.
Well, you asked, what did you ask about how he chose his band? Is that what you said?
Yeah.
For me, I mean, I'm not going to, he picked me for his band. So that doesn't count. But like all the other people, when I was around in the 80s, he picked people from his band in many different ways. Like he would say, Vince, we got to find another bass player, because Daryl left or whatever. All the bass players came from Chicago, first of all, after. The Midwest after. And he would also pick people, and the rest of the band would be like, why did you pick them? Like, why did you pick this new person coming in? And he would just hear, he was like, I want that sound in this band. And you guys got to listen and figure it out. Not complain or tell me you don't like this or that or whatever. Just you guys listen, and whether it's a new guitarist or an extra percussionist or whatever it might be, a new horn player. I mean, one time he had to have a horn player come replace someone for the tour and he had no rehearsals. So he just had to get on the bandstand and play. And that had to be kind of a requirement. You had to be able to do that. And he picked me, and I didn't have any of those skill sets. But well, yeah, I think when he picked me, that was different. I think he wanted to see what I could add, or can you add? Are you a musician? I mean, you've been hearing this music for years and years, and like I was on the tours with them as in the road crew. But some of these other people, some amazing musicians like come from recommendations, or he heard something and he's like, I want her, like Marilyn Mazur, right? You guys cut Aura, right, in Copenhagen. She was a Danish percussionist, and he said, well, I want her in the band. And I think some of the guys were like, well, we have a percussionist, or we had another guy. And so, but anyway, that's how I think if he heard it, wanted it, that's how it was, and you have to figure it out.
It was always about listening, and I keep going back to that. I hear it here with the Second Great Quintet, and I remember being in the band. He was listening. You had to listen. It was a must, because he played off a lot of things that we did. Right. He was always listening, even with the wireless. I mean, with Uncle Ron, he had the trumpet the mic right there, but they were listening. So it's really no different than him having a wireless in the 80s. Or what he had in the 60s. The key thing is when he picked his musicians, it was for a reason.
I did a DVD called Finding the Right Notes, and the producer had various musicians intro me as part of this project. And the interviewer asked Sonny Rollins, he said, Sonny, well, why did Miles call Ron Carter? Sonny said, he had a sound that Miles wanted in the band. To answer your question, how did I get in the band? Well, I had the sound that Miles wanted.
Yeah.
And it was there until either he didn't want it anymore, or I didn't want to give it to him anymore. I had another life. Whatever those reasons were, I was there because he thought I had a sound that he wanted to be associated with.
What was he listening to at home? Like, was he always listening to all types of different records, or?
When I was living with him in the 80s, he listened to a lot of modern stuff. Like Prince, he listened to intently, like on repeat in the car.
Trying to figure it out?
No, just enjoying it.
Yeah.
Just loving the grooves, loving the melodies and the tones. He would go, I don't know where he would find some of these groups, but we would go see bands. There was a band called Kassav that we went to see once here in the city. And I'm like, where did he even hear this band? And then we went, it was like great percussion ensemble and music. It was just great. But the only thing he didn't listen to was anything he recorded in the past. None of that stuff, which was, so when he passed, that's when I got a chance to learn to go back and listen to all his catalog, because we didn't have it. So I had to get it myself.
It's crazy how much it's changed from the earlier songs we were listening to.
Yeah.
I'm never going up to
But that wouldn't sound like Footprints if that was just quarter notes playing. That has to be that way. It has to.
But you set it up.
That's my job.
Yeah, you set it up.
Set it up.
Well, set it up means,
Prepare it,
prepare it. Yeah.
so they know it's coming again.
What are you hearing?
I hear a masterpiece. I don't even need a mic. As a kid, this is what I couldn't believe what I was hearing, and it still has that effect. And I'm not just saying it because he's here next to me, but it's the way it is. It's excellent. And Maestro and Tony, for me, that's it. You all boogaloo, whatever you want. You know.
Got a partner over here.
It speaks for itself. Oh, we can go now.
I want to hear about the difference between these two songs.
I think one of the things that I brought to the concept of bass lines, I was using the whole range from down this part of the bass to up here part of the bass. But I think when I hear this stuff back, because I just haven't had time to listen to it, or I haven't stopped to do it. I can't believe that we did those things because I had no social life with these guys. I only saw them for the gig hours and maybe afterwards traveling home. But our format for socializing was the 2 sets every night when the gig was on. And I think we poured all of our interest there. They weren't spent in a restaurant talking shit. They weren't spent over here doing whatever it is. We spent those hours were valuable to us. The intermission between sets, conversation. We never had the social hours to allow us to get into each other's heads while we were separated doing gigs.
You know, another thing that was amazing, when Tony would play something or you would play something or Herbie, you never even looked up. You were so into you were so focused on the music. It's like it was supposed to happen.
Yeah.
You weren't playing it safe. You were playing the music, but you were, like you said, experimenting.
Taking my chances.
Yeah. Instead of high-fiving each other and saying, and it's remarkable when you say you all didn't hang out off the bandstand. That's even more incredible,
We had an outside life, musically outside life. We did other gigs. And I think that other avenue of music allowed us to really focus on this music and inadvertently bring some of these little things we learned over here to this gig. All these other concepts we're able to blend into our own musical personality and our own choices to make sure the band understood that we had other work to do. At some point later on in our careers, there was room at the mouse to put the band together again, And I rue the day that we didn't do that because I wanted to show Herbie and Tony and Wayne, this is what I've been doing for 30 years. I learned the bass better, understood harmony better. I was able to verbalize exactly what I was looking for to understand in my ear. I was more comfortable that, I can do this role. If I can get the right set of notes, I'm going to own the band, right? That for 4 measures. I can live with that. But because we didn't get together again, I just regret that I didn't have a good chance to show off. And I got a better sound. I got a more mature person. I made my mistakes, but I don't make those anymore. I make different mistakes over here. Just to have the guys just say, oh my goodness, here it comes. Yes, guys, here. I'm back again. Check out this next chorus.
And only you know that, Uncle Ron. I mean, we hear it and we're fascinated by this.
Yeah.
And you're talking about
anything.
Yeah.
Anything. Yeah. Bad nights, we're like, wow.
Yeah, absolutely. Because I will never see them until the next bad chance.
Wow.
Next gig, next intermission. Yeah. And there were no rehearsals, there were no sit down and figure out this mission. No. We all I got family. Tony didn't have one. He was collecting magazines.
Right.
Percy was had a good record selling. And Miles had his life with all his whatever it was.
Right.
Okay, I'll see you at the downbeat and got something for you.
Wow. On a record date.
Yeah, got something for you.
That was 1967. This is 1970.
And 8.
And 8.
This is like a good example of how, when you were playing the stuff from the 40s and the 50s, how I was talking about his tone, how he was playing. Uh-huh. And then when he got to this point, he was experimenting with delay and reverb and things like that. And then later on, even the wah-wah pedal. He was just really trying or hearing just a different way of his horn. You know, hearing it differently, hearing your own voice differently in a new way that's interesting to you is, I mean, that's priceless. I mean, listen to all this stuff like sequentially is deep, man, because you just hear how everything is just changed, and I'm not even talking about fashion and politics and all that, you know, stuff, but just the whole format of that tune is so loose. You know, it's amazing how that he moved through these different times of music, different players, different sounds, different tunes altogether, different, you know, just, and then his tone changing through those times too.
You talked earlier about the technology is changing, just the recording technology.
Well, for him, that meant he could have different sounds coming out of the trumpet or any instrument he wanted to have sound differently. He could make that happen, whether the musician wanted it to or not. He had the control over that kind of sound presentation for an instrument that he wanted to fool with that sound at that moment, you know? When he was putting together the new band and asked us, you know, I guess me, I don't know about anybody else, to join the band, I said, well, you know, I understand what's going on here, but I worked a long time for my kind of sound, and I'm hearing different notes. And right now, I'm not, those guys who play electric bass, they're really far ahead of me in developing the instrument, and they got their thing, whatever it is, you know, and I understand growth. I understand being curious. Well, I want to see if I can develop what I think I'm hearing, you know, and because it was early 70s, the studios in New York were going crazy making records, man. Every studio had a jazz record going on at some point during 24 hours. You know, the commercial industry was still booming with knowing how to record the bass finally. And the bass is very important in the sound of a lot of the commercial jingle music, you know? And I was interested in can I make the band hear me? And I mean just hear me. I want them, can the band make the band respond to my ideas? And I began less and less enchanted with guys who only needed certain notes because they want to sound good, but they practice the solo. They're telling me, hey man, don't get too interesting back there. I say, what? Who?
Don't get too interesting back there.
Yeah, I mean, I'm telling you, man, you know, that's the vibe to put out there. I can understand their lack of being comfortable, but that's my job. I want your attention because something's coming up really good right now. And because I was thinking the long-term development of bass lines, I wasn't going to be satisfied with playing the vamp all night. That was critical to me.
You didn't want to lose that.
I didn't want that to go away from me. Because the more I played it, the more I got better at it. You know, it became part of my toothpaste. It's part of my DNA, you know? And I wasn't going to sacrifice that just because this guy, my ex-boss, was forming a new band with a new concept that he thought was more better for him. And
at the end, he respected it.
Yeah. Well, I would have been hurt if he didn't accept it. But I knew what I was hearing, man. And I had too much success feeling good about my note choices. The bands, I mean, I appreciated what it took to get this done. But I understood what I was aiming for, and I wasn't going to let it go because a great band leader said that maybe don't do that.
One of the things I'm hearing, it's the growth and progress is just highly personal, and it's not gonna. Your own growth has to be its own.
Yeah, I had another sound in my ear that I knew was supposed to work, man.
And your body of work speaks for itself.
Well, yeah. My body speaks for itself.
You know, I was thinking, you knew where you were going to go before you joined the band, right? I mean, you knew what you planned on doing.
Going somewhere.
Yeah. And then you really knew after you
Doing the course now.
Yeah. And so now it seems like you still are and correct me if I'm wrong, you're still like, you don't sit in one, you know, like duets, you don't sit in trios, you don't sit, you move around. Mm-hmm. Like you have your birthday with Diana Krall, Diana Krall. Well, how do you navigating through that? I mean, you're not complacent by no means.
Yeah, I think it's kind of hard to go all day without taking a taste of water. Mm. And it's hard to go all day without having a chance to play some nice notes for a person who can make them sound better because I played those notes. My job is to make me available for those environments. And as I'm gotten older, I'm able to kind of call my shots, so to speak.
You deserve it. You've earned it.
Yeah. So, not the Down the Crawl project, and she's a really good piano player. You know, and she's aware of history of the bass because she's playing like this all night with her trio. You know. So I had a chance to just play a different set of notes for her with a different rhythm, so she can feel what I'm trying to do with the view that is going to make her better. She may miss it, but she knows I gave her another choice that she'll find either the next chorus, the next tune, or the next bass player. I'm looking forward to when our schedules permit, let's just sit down and have a couple of nights at a gig and just show us how much better we can get with some kind of constant banging in the heads of these notes and these bass lines. That's it. Yeah, that's the night.
You know, with the quintet, I keep going back to the Second Great Quintet. If you notice, each of those band members went on to do, like Uncle said, to do other things. You know?
Yeah, band leaders.
Yeah, really important things in their careers. You know, and I think it was also Miles, for whatever they heard from Uncle Miles heard from them, or us, or Erin, or whoever was in the band. So it wasn't just Miles and the band and the sideman. And then I don't like the sideman thing. I think that he learned from, it was vice, you know, we learned from each other.
We exchanged ideas better than
100%. 100%. That's why he selected the people he picked.
Yeah.
You want to know why he picked them? It's because it was a mutual thing. It wasn't just Miles, the star, and these guys are, you know, hanging around with tuxedos on. Yeah. You know,
He didn't want guys like that in his band.
Yeah. That's why I said when they play, when Ron and Tony heard Wayne played, they didn't even look up. You know, that's how immersed in the music they were. And Uncle Miles was right there hanging on. And I say hanging on with, you know, because they hung on to each other.
There's magic there somewhere.
Huh?
Magic there somewhere.
It's magic.
Yeah, that's more of a scientific approach, a laboratory.
That's deep.
That's what that is. We're not here for friendship, I guess.
Miles used to say music ain't got no flair. Those were exact words. So you got to figure that out. You know what I mean? He, for all of us, we had to figure it out. And some of us are still trying to figure it out, you know?
I think that's a good place to end it.
Great. Good night.
Good night. Thank you. Thank you all for coming.
Thank you.
The Trackstar Podcast is a presentation of public opinion created by me, Jack Coyne, Kieran Coyne, and Henry Cornaros. Produced by Haley Sobel. Edited by Haley Sobel. Theme and original composition by Kieran Coyne. Mixing by Devin Klein. Our agent is Joanna Orland at UTA. Thanks for listening. See you next Wednesday.